to my channel. In today's video, we're going to try to get the rear end out of the Mountaineer. We're going to get the rear end out of the Maverick here. And if I have some time, I'm going to try to cut some brackets off of the Mountaineer rear end because it has too many brackets on it. So some of them have to be cut off in order for it to work in here. So it's been raining a lot last night, so it's messy down there. I haven't seen how it looks, so hopefully it's not muddy and I can get to it. So let's get to it. Okay, so while it's nice and early, I decided to come down here and pull this rear end out of the Mountaineer. It rained a lot last night, so everything is around here is drenched, and the mud is mudding again like it was before. But I got my cardboard there, and I'm gonna lay up under here and see if I can get all the bolts out this rear end to get this rear end removed. All right, so I don't know where to start, so I'm just gonna start taking off stuff. I know the shocks have to come off, and then those bars right there, it's gonna have to come off both sides, and then I'm gonna have to take the U-bolts out. And last, I think that'll hold the rear end where it's at, and last, I think I can take these leaf spring bolts out, and that should drop it, and I can roll it out the back. So I'm gonna go with that, and we'll see what's gonna cause me to get a little bit of, or cause me to have a little bit of issues, because I know it's got to be something. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I got everything that I think that needs to be separated, except for the brake lines. So I think with the brake lines, I think I'm just gonna cut them at a point that's all the way up near the rear door, and keep all the connections that I have on the rear end. So let me go ahead and figure out how to get this thing out of here. I haven't taken the leaf spring bolts out yet, so but I'm gonna make sure everything is disconnected before I take those off, because I know that's probably gonna lower the rear end with the weight of it. So okay, I just about got the rear end out. As soon as I took those leaf spring bolts out, the rear end just dropped. But what I have to do now, I cut the lines, and the only thing holding it now is that one stabilizer. I can't get it to come out, so I'm gonna have to keep beating on it to get that bolt to come out. And once I get that out, I can roll it from up under here. All right, so the rear end is completely from up under the truck. So good timing, because it's starting to get hot out here now. So perfect time to get this in the shop and start stripping the stuff off of it while it's in the shop. All right, so I just rolled the rear end away from the car, and it rolls really easy. I'm just trying to contemplate, should I take the wheels off of it down here and take it up to the shop without the wheels? Or I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take the wheels off, throw the rear end inside of the tractor, and take it up the hill. Okay, so in the process of taking this rear end out of the Maverick, I sprayed WD-40 on the bolts, they're real rusty, so hopefully I don't wring any off. But in the process of taking it off right now, I cleaned everything off. I sprayed brake clean on it first, and once that dried up, I put WD-40 on it and let it sit. So that's what I'm doing now, trying to get the rear end out. Okay, so what I'm stuck contemplating right now is these U-bolts are giving me a hard time coming out. They're coming out, but they're just extremely hard to turn. And with the way my jacks are, it's doing a whole lot of rocking the car back and forth, which I don't feel too safe with that happening. So I'm just trying to figure out. I'm not going to be able to use these U-bolts anyway, because this rear end is a lot smaller than the 8.8 that I'm putting in it. So I'm thinking about cutting the U-bolts and not dealing with getting them off. So that's what I'm thinking about doing now. I may do that. I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll cut the first one and see how easy it is, and if it's fairly easy, then I'll cut the rest of them. All right, so I cut the U-bolts off. What I was trying not to do, and as you see, I cut the brake line right there, but I may have to end up getting new ends on them anyway, so that may not be that much of an issue. So now I'm just going to have to disconnect this part and try to figure out how to disconnect the emergency brakes. I don't know how they're connected on drum brakes, so I don't know if I should just cut the cable or see how it's connected, but I'll figure something out in a few and come back to the video. On another note, me cutting this brake line is not a big issue because this brake line stays with the rear end. So I thought it was the one that went up to the front, but it's not. So cutting it's not going to be a big issue. Okay, so the bolts on the shocks are sticking also, so I can't get that off. Actually, I don't think I need that off. It's not on the rear end. But what I plan to do is get new shocks. So I'm just going to get new shocks. They're only 20 bucks each. So I'm just going to get new shocks and not have to worry about that. So I can go ahead and unbolt the shocks. I thought they were part of the rear end, but I'll unbolt the shocks and get those out later. So let me work on disconnecting these brake hoses off this rear end, and then we can get this moved out. Okay, so the rear end is out from up under the mat. And now what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put this in front of the car where I have room so that I can bring the 8.8 up here and put them side by side and take some measurements. Okay, so the rear end is in front of the car. And what I'm going to do is put it up on a jack stand possibly, and then bring the 8.8 from down the hill up here and put it right here beside it and do some comparing and measure. Get some measurements done on it and see exactly what I need to do. Alright, so I got the 8.8 in the shop beside the Maverick rear end, and you can see it's about 3-inch difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and start looking up what I need to take off and see if I can get some brackets for it. But I see a lot of stuff that needs to come off of it right away. Alright, so I got the top brackets cut off. There they are over there. And so now I got to get this bracket cut off. Just got to cut the brackets off the stabilizer bar and off the brackets off the bottom of this. So that's what I have to do now. It's getting hot out here, so let me hurry up and try to finish it. Okay, so this came up with something pretty interesting. The 8.8 is 3.5 inches longer than the Maverick 7.5 inch rear end. So I was prepared to cut it down, but something else just caught my attention. Is the Maverick rear end isn't centered. It's offset as well. But what I just noticed is this side is the short side. And on the 8.8, this side is the short side. So I might, and well, with the length, 3.5 inches, that's only 1 3/4 inches on each side. And I think I got to do some research, but 1 3/4 inches can be made up with wheel back spacing. So I may not have to get this rear end cut. And I think that's what I'm going to try. If I can try to fit this up under the car without it being cut, that'll help me out a lot. So I think I'm going to go forward with that. I just got to do more research. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this the rear end video, and by the next time I come back to this rear end, I have a solid plan. Interesting discovery. The tubes themselves are the same exact size. The long side on this one is the same length as the long side on this one, and the short side on this one is the same length as the short side on that one. So the only difference is going to be the housing, the width of the housing. That's what's making up that difference of 3.5 inches. So this video, you saw that I took the rear end out of the Mountaineer. I took the rear end out of the Maverick, and I cut some brackets off the rear end, compared them with sizes and everything. And like I just said, there's only 3.5 inch different in length, and they're both are offset, but they're offset to different sides. So I don't know if that matters, but my plan is to play around with this and do some research to see if I can get this rear end in the car and make up that 3.5 inches, which is 1.75 inches on each side, with wheel off space or offset or back spacing. So I'm gonna do some research, and I'll get back to this rear end. By the time we have another rear end video, I'll know what my plan would be going forward. Thanks for watching. Click on that subscribe button if you haven't. Click that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.